Okay, I'm continuing with my story now. I'm going to get right into it because at the end of my last episode, I told about how my husband Bob started having another affair. Now, this is a different woman. Now, I had already forgiven one affair, and what I did about that was basically I just put it out of my head. Um, they also call it compartmentalizing, and they say men do it more than women. But I don't know where I learned it. Um, Maybe as a child, or I don't know if I just consciously as an adult started to do that at some point in time, but I've definitely done a lot about that when there's something that is very stressful, very unpleasant, or something that I don't want to think about. I kind of have a talent of being able to just put it out of my head. And it's good, but the professionals say that it's not good, that what I'm doing right here is good, to let it out, to talk about it and all that. So I'm doing both. I've done both. Anyway, I'm doing this now. I've done that then. And that's another reason I'm doing these videos, because there is a lot of stuff that I shut out and I'm trying to pull it out, and it is therapeutic, and it might be entertaining to you, or you might be able to relate, whatever. Sad to say, many people can relate, right? So, how I handled it the first time, I just said, I'm not even going to think about it anymore. He's not doing it anymore, as far as I knew. And I never brought it up to him again. We never talked about it again from that first time that's in the other episode. So it was, I don't know, maybe at least a year, maybe 2 years or three after that first one. No, it couldn't have been too long because he was working in the hospital. He wasn't working in the hospital all that long. So yeah, maybe a year or so, right? When it happened again with another woman. And uh, in the episode, this is in the late 1980s, and I was 38 years old. Now, Bob was going to be turn 40 on his next birthday. So I always said that it was a midlife crisis thing, you know, big bad one, but apparently a lot of men have that midlife crisis. So when he told me again, he packed up and left um, and moved in with her. Um, he did come back to me 2 times. He came back. First time I don't remember too much. Uh, Maybe it was of her. Okay, I'm sorry. Just trying to get everything straight. Okay. I think it was the first time he came back that I just took him back again, very lovingly took him back. He's my husband. We have 3 kids. I took him back, forgave him. Well, then he went back to her. It was very brief. I mean, like days or weeks, very brief. And he was back with her again, moved back in with her. And then he came back. It was Mother's Day. Mother's Day, he comes over with flowers and he's crying. And I took him back again. But I told him, I said, this is the last time. I said, I can't do this again. You can't just turn me on and off like a light switch. You've hurt me too many times. It's not the same anymore. This is the last time. I'm warning you, because one more time I'm going to file divorce papers. Okay, so all of this, him moving out and 2 times, is all within a short period of time. And he did, what happened was that his parents living in Las Vegas now, they were devastated. Everybody was devastated. All our friends, all the church people, family, and everybody was all devastated. Nobody wanted us to break up. And the parents in Las Vegas, his parents, they invited us to come there and spend a little time in Vegas. They said that they would watch the kids and we should go get a hotel and, patch things up between us, right? That uh, so we agreed to do that, and it was good. Um, we went to a hotel. We only were there a few days. He didn't have a lot of vacation because he hadn't been working in the hospital that long, and it was good. And we thought things were better. I got to tell you, this one time was pretty cool because I wish I had the picture ready. I'm sorry I don't have the picture ready. I'll bring it out when I get it. It'll be a little later whenever I come across it. But we were in Caesar's Palace, and we're trying to patch our marriage back together. So um, we're over in one of the pillars, over by one of the pillars in Caesar's Palace, near the lounge show. We're right there, and we're making out, standing up by the pillars. Uh, and the guy who's performing, he spotted us back there, and he called us out. He pointed at us and made everybody turn their heads and look at us. Look at that couple over there. They're really getting into each other or whatever. And he called us up on stage. So we went up on stage and he did a little quick interview, and he was shocked that we were married. He said, never see married people making out like that here. They're never married. And anyway, he had he made Bob sing. I sat down and he made Bob get down on his knees. We did not tell him that we were, on the verge of divorce or about the affair or nothing like that. We just said we were married. And anyway, he put on the Righteous Brothers song. Um, uh, Unchained Melody. That was the one. And he gave Bob the microphone. Bob was not the greatest singer. He was okay at singing, but he wasn't really the greatest singer. Um, and anyway, he sang that song to me, and it was really cool. I have a picture of it. Somebody in the audience took a picture and mailed it to us, uh, because that's the way you had to do it back then. And but so we got back together. Everything we thought was okay. And I was prepared to just try really hard, to put it all behind us. But honest truth is, every time he cheated on me, um, I lost a little love for him, and I really didn't trust him at all anymore. I wanted to stay with him because of the kids mostly. That's what happens, because I really didn't care anymore. He had hurt me so bad so many times. It was like I felt like I was done. But I, because of what I just said, and thinking, that I'm sure that's what God wanted for us, me to forgive and for our marriage to hold and all that. So I was willing to do whatever I could, right? So it lasted a little, like 2 or 3 more weeks after we went home, and next thing, one night he doesn't come home again, right? And I didn't mess around. I filed papers right away. I was done, didn't care anymore, had it. Um, 19 years we were together. So a little bit of time went by, and during this time, of course, all of the friends and everybody's like on my side, right? Because he was the cheater. And all the people from church, all the men who were his friends, they all individually got together with him and tried to talk some sense into him and all that. But he was very cold towards all of the church people, even the guys that were his best friends. And all he wanted was this one woman, right? So she worked at the hospital with him. And what he told me, the story he told me was that she was new. She was the supervisor in the lab. And he said that she was just so beautiful and he couldn't take his eyes off her and da, 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 da. And so, he was a big flirt. He always was a big flirt and good looking. I never really cared for the beard, but he was good looking guy. And, she knew all that. Well, he told me that that was basically it. But he even told me that his boss pulled him aside one day and said, because he was, it was so obvious that he was messing around with this girl, right? His boss pulled him aside one day and said to him, you have a reputation in this hospital. Everybody likes you and sees you as the good Christian family man, and you are like really hurting not only yourself, but you're hurting the whole hospital reputation in a way, and he said that he wanted him to stop the affair. He said, if you want your job, you need to stop the affair because you are causing, um, now what's the right word? The word that he said, I used to know what it was. I can't think of it anymore. It's part of because I'm getting old. It'll probably come back. But he said that a certain word, that the grounds that he was going to fire him if he didn't quit this affair. Anyway, he didn't quit the affair, right? And a couple weeks went by. He was coming to see the kids like on the weekend one day. He would take them out, like that's the typical thing, right? And every time when the kids came home, when he dropped them off, um, my one son, they're twins. I called them Robbie and Bobby in the video. Okay, it was Robbie. We had a gate to our property because, we're renting this small area, but had a big regular gate, right? Um, every time a car went in and out, the gate had to be closed manually. My one son, every time after they said goodbye to their dad and he would go out and close the gate, he would just bust out crying at the gate every single time. It was only a couple times before this point, but he would come back in just crying his eyes out, and it broke my heart, and I just thought, this is so wrong. And I just couldn't bear it. It's like every weekend we have to go through this. Every weekend it's like their hearts get torn out over and over and over. And it was really sad, very sad. I remember during this time, no, I guess I'll go there later because we're talking about this exact time. Okay. So a couple weeks went by, not long, but I got to the point, I think it was about 6 weeks actually, that I calmed down enough because I have to tell you, I have to admit to you that in the beginning it was like, I had a lot of strong bad feelings for that woman. Now, I never had a fight with a girl before, but I felt like I wanted to pull her hair out. I had a lot of really bad, strong feelings against the woman because she knew that he was married and had 3 kids. I thought, what kind of woman is that? Um, she deserves to be hurt. So, about 6 weeks later, I had calmed down and really talked myself into and prayed about it a lot, filed the divorce papers and all this stuff, and I was just like over it. And I was like calm and just going about my business, working every day, taking care of the kids by myself and doing what I had to do. And I decided I was ready. I was calm enough that I needed to confront this woman. So I knew the hospital shifts. I knew she was working his shifts. I knew they got off at 3:30. And I knew where she lived because he had forwarded his mail there, gave me the forwarding address, right? So one day I decided to go there. I went after work. I went and I sat across the street because I got out right about 3:30 also, and I sat across the street and she pulled up, like right after I pulled up. She pulled up, went in the house, and I gave her a minute. I went up and knocked on the front door. She came to the door and I said, "Hi." I said, "I'm Bob's wife." She started, she just looked at me and she said, "Wait there a minute," and closed the door in my face. And she went and composed herself, came back with a cigarette, and her hand was like shaking. And she says, "Come on in." So I went in, sat on the couch, and it was just unbelievable to me. I was so shocked because, first of all, the woman was absolutely gorgeous. She looked like a young Natalie Wood, really beautiful movie star, off the chain, 10 plus, gorgeous. And but what blew me away was that Bob had always told me that he liked natural. He did not want me to wear any makeup. He told me if I ever wore lipstick, he would not kiss me. And he would many times point out women and say, if she didn't have all that makeup on, maybe she would look okay, and stuff like that. He hated makeup. He hated fake, right? And he was a clean guy, and he did not like hair in the house, like animal hair. That's why our animals were outside, except when there was a storm or something, we would let him in. And anyway, this lady had the whole 9 yards on her face, um, makeup to the max, uh, that was the big hair days, and she had it all big and long hair, and her house was covered with this long dog hair, white. She had this pretty white dog with long hair, but I mean, the couch was covered with this long, and the carpet, all the furniture covered with this long dog hair. And I was like, unbelievable. If our house looked like that, our house couldn't, because if there was just a few hairs, Bob would be mentioning it and I'd be cleaning it. I was like, unbelievable, and all the makeup and everything. It's like, what happened to him? He's like not even the person that I thought he was. He wanted me to be somebody else, and he goes for this girl. I didn't get it at all. But anyway, what happened was, she just started talking, and also he didn't like cigarette smoke. Ever since we stopped smoking, it had been a long time since I mean, many years that we had not been smoking cigarettes, and we got away from it. None of our friends smoked. We didn't like the smell of cigarette smoke. We didn't like to be around it anymore. And this lady was smoking. It was like just blowing me away. And anyway, she just starts talking to me, and she was being real catty, like she was just saying, "Oh yeah, we're getting along real good. Yeah, like last night we're laying on the couch over there. We're watching Johnny Carson and all this. Yeah, we're doing real good. We have sex 6 times a day." What kind of woman says that to the wife of the man that she's doing it with? I mean, it was just blowing my mind listening to her carrying on. And she said, "One thing I don't like about him is that um, my neighbors over there had a party, and he could smell them smoking pot, and he had to go over there and get some." And she said, "I don't go for that. I don't go for drugs at all." She said, "That's the only thing that I don't like about him." And well, I knew if he was starting to smoke again, that I knew that she'd be seeing a lot of that, because he was ahead. I mean, he smoked all day long. First thing in the morning, he was smoking. And if he was back to that, um, she would be in for a rude awakening. Anyway, I don't know how long I was there. pretty good length of time, but it just totally disgusted me. Um, I could see him lusting for her because she was a beautiful woman, no doubt. But everything else about her, you know, I didn't get it at all, what he saw in her. And she had an 8-year-old little girl that he was actually leaving his 3 kids. And the twins were just about the same age as her. A little bit, the twins were 10, 9, 10, 9 years old at that point. And that he would leave his own 3 kids for that blew my mind. Anyway, so that happened. And oh, I didn't tell you that when that happened, the reason I knew Bob wouldn't be coming straight home from work that day was because he had arranged to take the 3 kids on a camping weekend. So that's why I knew it was safe to go over there. And he took the 3 kids away for the weekend camping to Julian up in the mountains. So the next day was Saturday, and I got a phone call. It was her. She says, Susie, she said, I've been thinking ever since you came over yesterday. She said, I've been thinking a lot. I've been thinking hard. She said, and you know what? She said, I like you. She said, I think you're a nice person. She said, you know what? I don't want him anymore either. She said, I just put all his shit out on the front lawn, and when he comes back, I'm done. Wow. How about that? So, yeah, Sunday night, here he comes, drops the kids off, usual crying at the gate, everything. He left. I knew. He'd be back, I mean, it was a long ride, but I knew he'd be back. Sure enough, here he comes back. Now, we had an outbuilding in the back of our yard. Uh, it was a cement, like, wasn't a garage, didn't have a garage door. It must have been built as a workshop or some kind of storage place or something. I don't know. But it was a pretty good size building, just one big old room. And Bob was using it for a workshop, but only a little piece of it. And anyway, he came back with all. I saw the back of the station wagon was all piled up with stuff, right? He had things on top, everything, the whole thing. He had all his stuff with him. And I just said, nope. I said, you could sleep out back. And he slept in that building in the back. And that was it. I was done. And he had to go get himself an apartment. So that's that story. Next episode, I'll tell you how I about this. There's a 6-month waiting period before you can get divorced, and I'm going to tell you about that 6 months next time. Thanks for watching so much. Thank you, and God bless.